How would you describe your ideal self? And here's what I mean by this question. So, if you were to envision the ideal you, how early would you get up in the morning? What would you eat? What would be the first thing you did each and every day? What would your ideal day look like as it related to your ideal self? How would you react to people? If you're someone who is quick to react and you find yourself getting flooded with frustration and aggravation and lashing out when someone criticizes you or tells you something that you don't want to hear, then how would the ideal you respond to that? How would the ideal you handle focus and concentration and productivity? What about whenever you entered a party, whenever you entered a room where there's a crowd? How would the ideal you enter that room and react with all the other people in the social setting? If you cannot answer these questions, then how will you ever reach any closer to your ideal self? And if you have no desire to reach that ideal self, then what are you shooting for? We have one go around at this life. Why not go through this life the highest and best version of ourselves that we can possibly create? And this all starts with describing who the ideal you is. You need to take time to truly process this, answer these questions. What is the ideal you as a father? What is the ideal you as a husband? What is the ideal you as a brother, a sister, a son, a grandson? And then once you start to answer these questions, then take time each and every day to focus on this ideal you. See yourself up early, moving through your day with focus, with deliberate intention towards the things that you want out of this life. Take nothing for granted. You don't waste time. You are on a mission. You are on a purpose. When people meet you and see you, they know that they are dealing with someone that has their stuff together, that they can themselves be inspired by, that they can look at your ideal self and start to question their own ideal self. Take the time to visualize who this ideal you is. And once you start to have a vision of that, then what happens is we start to narrate our story in our mind about ourselves differently. Are you someone who has always had the story in your mind playing that you're just not quite smart enough, that you just don't deserve that opportunity, that you don't deserve to be happy in a relationship because, after all, who are you? You're nothing special. The only way you can start to change that story and change that narrative is to start writing your own character in your mind and visualizing and seeing it, and then making that story become the reality of your own, not just movie, but your own documentary. That's what you're trying to strive for. And when you do this, it makes it harder to do things that are opposed to that narrative. You're writing the screenplay. You're writing this documentary. You're documenting your ideal life, your ideal self. And so when things come into conflict with that ideal you're less likely to act upon them. At a minimum, you'll pause and question, is this what the ideal me would absolutely do? If not, run from it, flee from it, adjust your behavior to match your ideal self. But it all starts with asking these very simple questions. Who is the ideal you? And when you start to do this, you will move closer and closer and closer to a better you based on your values, your intentions, your ambitions, your goals, not someone else's, not society's, not the people living in the matrix. Step outside the matrix and create your own ideal self. Visualize this, act upon it, and be the absolute best version of yourself you can possibly be. That is what my hope is for you. I hope that should we meet one day, if I were to meet you, I meet not just random you, but I meet ideal you. And I commit to you, I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm hoping that for both of our sake, when you meet me, you are meeting the ideal version of myself, or at least some version as close to it as I can possibly get at that point in time. Never stop improving, always in all ways.